Hi, this is Sean in Module 2 of the Emerald Educational Kit. In this module, I will be going over the MERS section of this particular procedures manual section of it, and then showing an example excerpt of a document where MERS is mentioned on an actual loan contract document. And as you see here, this is the link to the kit here. And once you're in this particular section with the kit links here, um, for this particular section of the module 2, if you would click on this particular MERS Procedures Manual, page 63-1, if you click there, it'll be a PDF download. And you can actually download these items on your computer as well. I will be showing you in this browser format here. But this basically is an excerpt of a section of the manual, a particular section of it. Obviously, the main manual is a lot longer, but this is going to be either a section of it or like a section of it or a lighter version of it. But obviously, their manuals are going to be a lot longer than this. But this particular section here is an important section to go over because it kind of relates to the actual how MERS is mentioned in a documentation, how it relates to how it's mentioned on a loan contract document, okay? Because in a sense, the manual is basically explaining one thing, and then when you go look at it on an actual loan contract, you will see how it compares. Now, before I begin, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes and research purposes. I am simply a presenter of this information for educational purposes. Thank you. Again, so basically, as you see here, this is the MERS Procedures Manual, okay? And this is saying, and as if you those of you who do not understand or do not know, MERS stands for Mortgage Electronic Registration System, okay? It's a system, it's a database, it's a public database where you will see, like, for example, if you have a mortgage on your mortgage note or your deed of trust or your deed, depending on which state you're in, it's called different. What the deed of trust in California, for example, it's called a deed of trust. But basically, on the top right-hand side or the top left-hand side, you will notice an identifying number. It will say MIN in capital letters typically, and it will have an identifying number. And that is a MERS identifying number that identifies that loan in their database. Now, that is basically showing you, it's a registration system, MERS electronic registration system. So you can, it's a public database that anybody can go and input that information and find that information relating to the loan, okay? It's also used in the research securitization, auditing system, the procedures. Obviously when a loan is being researched, for example, for securitization or transferring or selling, obviously the information from that database will help in that process. But as you can see here, this particular section of the MERS manual is going over the transfer of beneficial rights to member investors, okay? Now, basically, this is saying, the overview, it's saying tracks changes in the ownership of the beneficial rights for the loans registered on the MERS system, okay? Now, it says here, MERS cannot transfer the beneficial rights to the debt, okay? That's very important. Key in on this. And I would recommend that you go and download this and read it carefully. This is a very important aspect to the education, and that's why this particular section is included in the kit, because this is like, basically you're getting the core meat of the information here, and that's why we have that there. And it's an important aspect to the kit because this is very important what you're seeing here. And it says here, that the debt can only be transferred. And again, I'm reading this PDF. As you can also look at it while I read it, the debt can only be transferred by properly endorsing the promissory note. So again, that says that the debt can only be transferred by properly endorsing the promissory note to the transferee. Now, for those of you with the mortgage, go look on your mortgage note. The note is typically like a 3-page document, sometimes, less than that, but 3 to 5 pages typically. And if you look on the last page, you might see an endorsement. You might see paid to the order of. You might see a stamp. You might see an allonge attached to it. So just look at that, and that's where you can see and kind of, you know, track back to this and see, okay, where is these endorsements? Why, where's my note being endorsed to and why? And then if you notice that MERS min number is on your documentation, then you can go in the database and look and see and check to see what is going on and in their own public database. Put your MERS number and see. And so basically, that's what it's saying here. And this first section is very important. This first here paragraph in their own manual. Now, if you scroll down here, it will actually go through some of the terms and conditions of this procedures manual. Again, this is the procedures manual, their own procedures manual, okay? And here we have highlighted in yellow and underlined in bold key pieces of information for you guys, okay? Now, obviously, you want to go and read through this. This is important. However, this highlighted pieces of information really key in on what is going on here. Like, what are they saying? And then compare it to what I'm going to show you next. So that way you can have a comparison, okay? And so this saying in the first highlighted section here, MERS agrees not to assert any rights, okay? Not to. Keep that in mind. This is their own manual. MERS agrees not to assert any rights. And then item 6 here in this paragraph, okay? In the first two sentences highlighted here, MERS and the member agree that MERS, the system, is not a vehicle for creating or transferring beneficial interests in mortgage loans. Again, MERS and the member agree that the MERS system is not a vehicle for creating or transferring beneficial interests in mortgage loans. Okay, now I'll read the rest of this paragraph for you here. This is important. Transfers of servicing interest reflected on the MERS system are subject to the consent of the beneficial owner of the mortgage loans, and membership in MERS or use of the MERS system shall not modify or supersede any agreement between or among the members having interest in mortgage loans registered on the MERS system. Okay, so a good snippet of information there. However, if you see that highlighted piece there, okay, that is very important. So these two key pieces of information, keep that in mind. Now, in this PDF document here, I will show you. This is an excerpt of a loan contract, basically that mentions MERS, okay? So basically here, in this particular section of this loan contract, this is an excerpt, okay? Keep that in mind. This is an excerpt, and I'm presenting this piece of information as a comparison to what was just read in their own MERS manual. Again, this is for comparison purposes and educational purposes. However, when you read this here, in this particular excerpt here, it will say here, okay, and if you read here, okay, I more the property to MERS, okay, and it says solely nominee for lender and lender's successors in interest, okay, and then subject to the terms of this security instrument. Again, another key phrase, security instrument. Those that are new to this particular section or new to this industry or just new to doing research related to this field, I would recommend that you actually go and do some research on the keyword phrase security instrument, okay? And so it goes in here, okay, it talks about the security instrument, okay? And then in here, it actually will say, MERS holds only legal title to the rents granted in me, okay? And as nominee for lender and lender's successor and assign, has the right to exercise any or all those rights, including but not limited to the right to foreclose and sell the property, and to take any action required of lender, including but not limited to releasing and canceling this security instrument. Again, so here it's basically MERS is saying that, okay, MERS holds only legal title, okay? MERS as nominee for lender and lender successors and assignee, okay? And basically, A and B to exercise any of all those rights, including but not limited to the right to foreclose and sell the property and to take action required for the lender, including but not limited to releasing the canceling security instrument. Okay. Now, if we go back to here, and it says basically that MERS agrees not to assert any rights and that MERS system is not a vehicle for creating or transferring beneficial interest in mortgage loans. So then when you go back and you see the contract here, this is an excerpt, and MERS is mentioned here in a sense. So again, you have to read that and compare those two. It's like, well, one is saying that, MERS does not have beneficial rights. And then this here is saying, well, it has a right to foreclose. Not only that, it's saying that, if you see the item B right in the bottom here, uh, releasing and canceling, or in a sense saying, okay, action required of possibly, but not limited to, releasing and canceling the security instrument. So that is a key piece of information here for comparison purposes, because when you see in their own manual what is written, and then when you see on an actual loan contract what is written, it's good to compare those two items. Now, for those of you who have MERS or a MIN number on your loan documentation, please look through it, and you might find this type of similar verbiage. Okay, and basically. That similar verbiage, okay, compare it to the manual, compare it to what you see there, and this is another section of that, also MERS being mentioned, okay, in an actual loan contract as well. So yeah, that's the key piece of information here in this module, going over the MERS section and the manual. And also, the other thing is, when you are looking up the MIN number in your own research on your loan, or on a loan, and you'll see on the MERS database, like in this section here, and this one it's saying active. However, it will sometimes say inactive. So again, that's one of those things. Well, if it's inactive, and you go back and you read what was just previously mentioned in the video, again, you have to compare that information. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, if it's inactive or if it's active. Okay, if it's inactive, then now it's saying that it has, the rights here, and it's, exercising any rights, and even can, possibly having a right to cancel the security instrument. So, you have to compare those pieces of information. Also, another good piece of information here is this particular section of the UCC. And for those of you taking notes, it's going to be right here. That's going to be UCC section 3-203A. And it basically says here, so this is the actual excerpt in the middle, okay? And it's basically mentioning, about the note being transferred, okay, rights to enforce the instrument, again, instrument, security instrument, like we were mentioning before, for instance, assuming the payee of a note sells to an assignee, going to transfer all the payee's rights to the note, but delivers a note to the assignee without endorsing it. So, and this one here says the assignee won't qualify. Again, it says the assignee won't, or will not qualify as a holder. Okay, so these are, very key pieces of information here. So basically, and here, this is an analysis verbiage here, but it's just saying, basically what was mentioned, in an analysis way, and if it's inactive, coming up on the MERS database, then there could be issues, right? Again, this is an educational piece. However, this is good to compare, because if it was inactive, what does that mean? How does that relate to what was mentioned on the contract of enforcement of rights, and how does that relate to the information, going back to the manual, where it's basically saying, well, MERS agrees that, it is not a system It is not a vehicle for creating or transferring beneficial interest in mortgage loans. So it's saying that right here in their manual. But yeah, definitely would recommend going through this excerpt of the manual. Very good key pieces of information. And I thank you for watching this piece. And thank you, and have a wonderful day.